I don't know what it is with this show and creating badass characters, but from last week with Rin just showing us why she is perfect, to Prontea in this episode, who, even though has that very fearful attitude, which makes sense given what the training and building you up to tearing you down mentality that Rin had to make Prontea into a very strong soldier. I mean, this dude, from Hayato to Prontea, we're going JoJo, Aura, but this dude, he can get his head cracked in by a rock, and instead of being like, ow, that hurt, he just starts fighting. It could easily take both of these, but judges, this one's weaker than the other, so I'll give it to Paula as well as Hayato. They can fight this, I'll fight him, as Isley is pretty much tasked with a pretty, I think, frightening situation, but not impossible situation. Because it does seem like he can get the jump on this character, in terms of especially because I guess he can see in the dark, unlike her. And the idea of like, as long as he can escape and maybe he'll be able to do something, there's just so much cool badass things taking place as you have an army of demon-like beings who are trying their best to destroy these deities. And seriously, it looks like they're shit out of luck. Isley still is like one of the weirdest characters to me because I never know what he's up to. At this point in time, I don't think he's bad. I just think he's kind of playing both sides for a goal that we have yet to truly understand. They're talking about research about what it could take to destroy demons by the looks of it, and poison seemingly can work even if you do need a shit ton of, pufferfish, but still. Maybe it's just like the methods he's going about things Rin wouldn't agree with. I mean, the fact that Rin didn't have any contact with Prontea, but these two did, it says to me that definitely there's a lot more than meets the eye, and I wouldn't be shocked if it didn't happen until like episode 8 or 9 before we truly get into this character's mind and why he's keeping secrets and maybe playing a couple of different sides. But do I think he's evil? No, I just think he's way more calculated than certain characters are led to believe, right? But to see just the plans crumble week after week. I mean, there's bound to become a point where maybe this doesn't happen, or maybe we'll get a One Punch Man situation where these characters are always going to succeed. But when you have them discussing their plans and what they're saying makes total sense. Okay, well, we know she's powerful, but these three, while they could become just as powerful, we can deal with at the moment. So do you continue to go after the person who one-shotted KO'd pretty much your entire squad? Well, yes, it did last past a single punch, but I mean, given if she wanted to be serious, it probably would have been over in one punch. Or do you go after the smaller fry who you can kill, get rid of them so she has no allies or reinforcements, as then you hopefully throw everything against her? It's a good plan, makes sense, and then we transition so casually to Rin saying, I don't care if they're blended with humans, I'll destroy them all, I'll destroy the goddamn country, there's too many of these humans anymore. I remember when I was a kid, it was only a few thousand. This girl is so frightening, and I think it's understandable why a badass like Prontea would be kind of shaking in his boots. I swear, I wasn't playing video games, I wasn't goofing off. Oh shit, wait, Hayato, how long have you been training with this girl? 80 years and your spirit never broke. If there's one thing to give Hayato, it's his unbreakable mentality. I think anyone after a week with Rin would probably be shivering and shaking and rolling on the ground. Yet Hayato gets his spine relocated, like his spine ends up in his throat every other minute, it feels like, with how she beats the living shit out of him. But I think the determination in him is just kind of admirable, I find. The show's aesthetic continues to blow me away. I really love the transition at the midway point when we went to this human town. The way they constantly shift up the aesthetic to this show and art design is amazing while staying true to what's been set out already. I think that scene where Prontea was doing like a racetrack, like pretty much remote control race cars, the way they animated that was so different than anything we see in the show today, yet it looked like Sakuga while having very loose line work. It was so cool and didn't need to look that good for what it was trying to do, but I like the idea of it really flexing what this character is. Once he wins something or once he accomplishes something, he moves on to his next objective. So when he's giving his kind of speech about what he's going to do next, well, I'm done. I'm going to move on to something else. I accomplished what I set out. Why try to hold on to something once I've already known I'm the best at it? Holy shit, this dude not only is a physical badass, his personality is boss. Between Rin last week being like, holy shit, best girl right here, to now Prontea, best boy, this show just creates badasses. And even the Central Three, I mean, even though they may not be as physically strong as these two, I still think they are totally amazing. And while certain characters I'd say like Paula have had the least amount of spotlight, I like them at a personality level at their base level, and I know they have potential to go forward. I think next week will be a great shot for a character like her to actually get her a chance to shine, given that it's going to be a 2v1 with Hayato and her trying to take down this creature. Really, I feel like a broken record, but I think it just needs to be repeated every time an episode proves it to me. This series is action-packed, it's incredibly animated, it sounds great, the voice actor's hitting it out of the park, but I have to say I like the story and characters. I like the mystery with someone who's supposed to be a protagonist, kind of working with humans and researching, but seemingly not letting certain characters like Rin onto it. Does she not agree with the methods? Is there underhanded tactics being used? The constant, like, almost feeling like the demons are put in the protagonist spotlight, where they're making a meeting, they're being diabolical about things, yet as soon as we transition back to Rin, she has a plan that's so violent and chaotic that they couldn't see it coming. Because we're watching gods, we can just have them casually walk on the ocean floor as she's bouncing around on the ships trying to see if anyone recognizes her. There's so many cool things at play, and this show remains to be an absolute blast, and I'm loving that people are enjoying it just like me. This show, I was confident would be amazing just on a production level alone, but I mean, it's crazy that I haven't seen a single character that I said I wish they weren't a part of this show. Even though we haven't really grown to know many of the demon side all that much, just on a personality level, I think their character design and the voice actor kind of sells you on who they are as a person. And the fact that this, literally, a single head can command all of them, even though they're all way more powerful than himself, it's just so cool, and it's just, I mean that, but really flexing with the production that they put together for this. I mean, the team is stacked behind this show. I definitely think this show will have a soundtrack that will be very fun to listen to on its own. I honestly think just given the snippets we've heard and just the extraordinary sound direction on even just like the sound effect department, this is the type of OST I imagine would be great to listen to when you're playing a fighting game. Now granted, most fighting games already have pretty banger soundtracks, but I don't know, there's just something about it, especially if like, now this is just me anyway, you could take like a mediocre anime fighting game, which there's a fair few of those out there, mute the game audio, and just play IDATEN Deities like soundtrack, and it probably would increase the experience. I'm just saying, that's maybe just be me and maybe a little too harsh, but I feel like I'd be willing to give more anime fighting games a shot if I could, maybe just use this OST than some of the lackluster ones I've heard in certain fighting games, but that's just me. Holy shit, like, I don't know how many episodes I'd want of this show. I know for sure I want the entire first season. I don't know about where the story goes or anything like that, but if they could keep up the momentum and quality that we saw so far with these, 4 episodes, I believe is how many are out right now? I mean, I'd love to see a season 2 matching the same type of quality should they ever pursue it. Let me know your thoughts and feelings out down below. What do you think of Prontea, the new character that we finally get introduced to face to face? Did you love him as much as myself, or did he fall flat on his face for you? Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.